All right, everyone. Well, welcome back, and we are very luckily joined this morning by Jacob Watts, one of the brains behind the operation that is Hex Fighting Series. So, Jacob, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Look, I want to get straight into it. I was wondering if you could sort of talk us through, some of the early struggles that you ran into when it comes to managing an MMA organization, whether that was in regards to booking venues, securing athletes. I was just wondering if you could sort of talk us through your early days as a manager of a fight organization.
Yeah, look, I've been pretty fortunate, to be honest, with Hex. I haven't really had that many struggles. Matching up fighters on the show's pretty easy. So, yeah, I've been very lucky. The venue that we hold the show in is great as well. Never had any issues with them. So, yeah, at this stage, and touch wood, I'm saying that I haven't had any major issues that I've run into.
Definitely. Look, Jacob, I know, we all know we spoke with Lisa Kiriakou and Sean Gauchi last week, and like we said, we spoke to them and asked them about their thoughts on Hex, and they were so complimentary of what you guys are doing and the production and everything, every single part of the whole experience. They're really enjoying and loving. How proud of Hex are you and what you've been able to accomplish, putting on these high level, high production events that are competing with Eternal and these big, the bigger Australian organisations, you know what I mean, and put it on these real high level, more than just your local fight at sort of these dingy places. It's a real proper promotion with proper backstage warm up areas and, like Sean mentioned, Gatorades and all this sort of stuff. How proud of that are you?
Yeah, I'm definitely very proud of it. We've got a great team that works around us and makes all of this possible. The main goal for us is to give the fighters the best platform that they can have to make it to these bigger stages like the UFC and Bellator, PFL, One, etc. So our main focus is just treating these guys as best we can, giving them the best fights we can, selling out the venues so they're fighting in front of big crowds. The production's nailed down so that when these bigger organisations are looking at their fights, they're looking at high quality fights. That's the main goal for us, just making sure that everything that we can control is perfect for these guys.
Yeah, definitely. So, Jacob, when you're sort of, planning an event and you're getting to the process of managing and organizing it, do you look at any other organizations, whether they are international or local, that you're sort of able to either, take some ideas from, whether it's in production or marketing, etc., or, when you're in the process of managing and organizing a Hex event, do you more go with your own ideas that you have in regards to how you see Hex running as an organization?
Yeah, look, obviously the UFC is kind of the industry leader in all areas. So it's normal to draw ideas from them, but one of our focuses is always running our own race. We don't really worry about the noise around us and what these other promotions are doing. We just want to run our own race and, like I said, give our guys the best chance that they have to make it to these bigger organisations.
Definitely. And speaking on that, obviously it was announced that Hex had signed a sort of deal with ESPN, which is a monumental deal for an Australian MMA promotion to sign with such a big, an industry leader in sports and that sort of stuff. So what kind of impact do you think that could have on Australian MMA as a whole, knowing that an Australian MMA promotion has now signed with an industry leader like ESPN?
I think it's going to have a massive impact because it's going to show these mainstream media networks that Australian MMA is really professional and high level, and hopefully other promotions around Australia start getting picked up by similar sporting networks and, yeah, really just continue boosting Australian MMA. Obviously, it's been on a meteorical rise lately, so the more promotions that are getting seen on the bigger stage, the better it is for all the fighters in the country.
Yeah, definitely. So, Jacob, you kind of touched on it earlier, which is, touching wood, but, you've had a pretty smooth run in terms of organizing and managing events. But from your experience from your early days, involved in this aspect of the sport to where we are today, what has been sort of one of the biggest lessons that you've been able to apply in improving Hex shows? Maybe it's, how you saw some marketing that got put out, or maybe it's something to do with how you saw the fight card being put together. But what's been the biggest lesson you've been able to apply to improve a Hex show?
I think a big lesson for me personally is always just being prepared for the unexpected. You know, there's always, with every show that we have, there's always, you know, usually always going to be someone like a fighter pull out. It could be an injury, could be something to do with their blood work. It could be anything. So I think just always being prepared for the unexpected and knowing how to deal with those challenges when they come up is definitely something that we're, even myself, still developing, but that's definitely a skill that I think that us as a promotion have really nailed down, is just expecting the unexpected and knowing how to deal with that when it comes up.
26th of May, massive card, including, you know, a potential for the first ever HEX double champion. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about this card and sort of the matchups that fans should be on the lookout for? Because it is a fantastic card.
Yeah, definitely. The main event, I can't get it off my mind, to be honest. It's the two best guys at welterweight in the country, and yeah, like you said, it's an opportunity for the first ever double champ. These guys match up so well together. They're both judo black belts. Their striking, like both guys' striking's really crisp, really clean. They can both knock each other out, and they're no slouches on the ground either. Both these guys have really good jit. So, yeah, with this fight, I've been going back and forth on who wins, and I honestly can't pick a winner. It's so evenly matched that, yeah, I'm just counting down the days until this event. Yeah. And then obviously we've got George Soteropoulos returning to fight Josh Togo, so that's a massive fight. You know, George is one of the pioneers of Australian MMA, one of the founding fathers, I guess, of the UFC definitely. For Australia. So having him back in the cage and him taking on probably the toughest guy at lightweight in Josh Togo speaks volumes to his mental fortitude to take on someone like Josh. So I'm really excited to see how that fight pans out as well.
Definitely. So look, I wanted to know, has the idea of cross-promoting with other organizations come up in any, you know, backroom meetings at HEX? And, you know, if so, or if not, is it something you'd be interested in, you know, down the line at all?
It's definitely something that we've spoke about. We haven't put like that much kind of thought into it, but it's definitely something that we've spoke about doing one day. I think it would be great for Australian MMA, you know, to see the best of the absolute best kind of coming together and fighting each other. Obviously, there's champions in other organisations that stay in their organisations, like there's champions in HEX that stay in HEX. So, you know, it's something that we have spoke about, but we haven't actually actioned anything as yet. But I think it would be very interesting to see how these champions from all the different promotions in Australia match up against each other.
Definitely. Jacob, look, man, last one from me. Really want to thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it, man. But look, Israel Adesanya was the most recent fighter for HEX, who is a UFC champion, which is a phenomenal thing. Obviously, his last fight in HEX was right before he got signed to the UFC. I wanted to ask this question to you. If you had to pick one fighter from HEX, either be a champion or an athlete in a division, who do you think, in your opinion, could be the very next UFC champion coming out of HEX?
I think we'll find out in May in the main event. Whichever one of those guys gets the nod, I think definitely will get signed to the UFC. And I think either of those guys has the potential to hang with the top guys in the welterweight division in the UFC. So I think we'll find out.
Definitely. Well, look, Jacob, thank you so much for your time this morning, man. You know, we're up in the Gold Coast, but, you know, we do want to try and get down to Melbourne and come see the event, and we'd love to come cover it as well. But thank you for your time this morning, man. Wish you all the best, and we can't wait to see the card on May 26th.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me. There's always a seat at HEX for you, so let me know if you come down.
Thank you very much. Definitely. Thank you very much.